Hi, good afternoon. My name's Rhonda Devine, and I am with the OFO, part of Kentucky Department of Education, and I have Laura Lohman with me today. And we want to talk about the SAAR application process. And it's brand new, and we're going to be rolling it out this year with Growth Factor. And it's a one-stop shop, and Laura is going to give you all the details. And then we also have the chat window available, so you can ask questions, and hopefully you can learn some new information. And we'll also have this PowerPoint on our SAAR page on our KDE website. So Laura, I'll send it over to you.
Hello, good afternoon. Like she said, I'm Laura Lohman, and I'm the new KDE point of contact for SAAR. I'm excited to finally get to use this new application this year, and I think you're going to find that it is extremely user-friendly and hopefully makes your life a little bit easier with submitting. So the SAAR application is a one-stop shop for all Growth Factor, January Growth Factor, and SAAR reports. We will walk through the entire application process from the first steps of creating and generating the report from campus to sending the report through the SAAR application link. And then we'll look at all of the tabs through the application, go through all of the stages of submission and the final verification process. And then I'll also show you how to find historical reports that have already been uploaded in the application. And we'll have plenty of time for question and answers. So we'll talk about the dashboard and just some things that you'll see whenever I move on to the dashboard is the Home tab. There'll be a Reports tab for SAAR Growth Factor and January Growth Factor. There will be a District Information tab at the top, Reports Manager, and that will separate the 3 cycles as well, and then a Request New User tab, and we'll talk about each of those. So a couple just quick notes regarding what you see on the Home tab here. In the top right corner, you're going to see just your basic information, so your login and your school district. And it's not on the screenshot, but when you're in the home screen, you'll see the KDE contact information in the bottom right corner. And by clicking View Reports here, you can sort by school year to see historical reports from previous years. This is going to be your district information tab, and it's going to provide basic district information that pulls in from SHRM. And then the users tab here will list all of the users and the role that they fill. The superintendent needs to be the one who is verifying the final report. Your finance officer would have like view only rights, and then district user would be the person who can upload and edit the files, and this would be like the DPP or other staff who need access. And then the Communications tab provides an account of messages sent through the SAAR application in KDE, and we'll talk more about the Messages tab later. And then there's a Submissions tab, and this is where you're going to see previous SAAR application submissions. This is the Report Managers tab, and at the top of the screen here, you'll see Report Manager. This tab's going to bring up separate tabs for Growth Factor, January Growth Factor, and SAAR, and you'll be able to sort here by the school year and see historical reports that have already been uploaded into the system. And then here at the top, this is the Request New Users tab, and you'll use this to go in and request a new user for the application. So you'll just fill in the first name, last name, username, which would be the email address, and then the role, superintendent, finance officer, district user, and then you'll click Submit, and that's going to trigger an email notification to me. And once the person is added, they'll receive an email stating that they've been added to the SAAR application and that they can log in using their Microsoft credentials. And then if you have someone who has retired or left the district and needs to be removed, you can just email me directly to have that person marked as inactive in the system. So the growth factor report is due to KDE after the last day of the second month of school, but not later than November 1. And we do realize that this is a tight deadline if you've had an alternative calendar, but the report is mandatory for each district to complete. And the report's going to help identify districts with growth and determine additional funding. But just a reminder that growth factor is not going to generate any funding for this school year and will just serve as a baseline to start funding back for the 23-24 school year. So just some basics about growth factor. Growth factor is a subset of SAAR, and growth factor record 1 ethnic count is going to be the same as your SAAR record 5. Growth factor record 2 aggregate attendance and absence, that's going to be the same as SAAR record 7. Growth factor 4 non-contract overage underage, that's going to be the same as SAAR record 9. And then home hospital is the same for both SAAR and growth factor, and that's just record H. And then these are just some reports that you can run for data cleanup purposes, and you'll want to do all of these prior to pulling your growth factor file from Infinite Campus. And then moving on to just creating your growth factor file in Infinite Campus, the path for that is Kentucky State Reporting, SAAR report. You're going to run the state format fixed with for all schools, and then you'll leave your date range here blank. You're going to select all types, so record or R1 ethnic count, R2 aggregate attendance, R4 non-contract, and RH home hospital. And then you're going to generate the report. The file name needs to be saved as GF and then your 3-digit district number and the school year. So for this year, it would be 23. And then this is just the link to submit straight to the SAAR application. But be sure to save a PDF version for your own records, even though you're running it as fixed with for what you're going to submit within the application. So once you've pulled your growth factor file, you'll be ready to submit using the new app, and this is the home screen. You'll see the 3 cycles for SAAR, growth factor, and January growth factor, and it's going to reflect the current year. And then the tab that is highlighted in green is what is currently open. So here, growth factor is open, and you'll be able to go in and upload your file here. And then this is the submissions tab. So you'll see it will show your district, school year, report type, and when it was submitted, and if it's been verified or where it is in the approval process. So this will be good so that you can go back and just check after you've submitted your file and see where it is. And then highlighted in red, you'll see additional tabs, and we'll talk about each of those in more detail. The Details tab will import all of the following data. So once you've imported your files, you're going to see data here under all of these, like calendar days, district aggregate counts, enrollments. All of this will have data imported there. And then this is your Reports tab, and it's going to show you the reports that have been submitted. And then your Messages tab, this is going to show any communication between the district and KDE. And if anyone has submitted a question, you'll be able to see that here. If we have questions, we will message you through the system instead of via email. And it'll actually notify you that someone has sent you a message. And then this is your status tracking tab, and it's going to show you where the submission is in the approval process, who is verified or who it's waiting on. So for this particular example, you'll see that it was submitted on 6/21 and who it was submitted by. and then verified by KDE on 8/16 and who it was verified by. And then once district verification has happened, that would show here as well. And then just again, this is where you're going to upload growth factor, January growth factor, and SAAR files, not through the KDE website like in the past, but this link to the application is on the KDE website, and you'll format the file just like you did in the past as well.
Hey, Laura, can I jump in real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Only because I think you may need a screenshot that you just passed.
Okay.
Someone has asked, where is the submission details tab? Is that a tab that we can show on one of those screenshots?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Right here.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I just wanted to grab it before you went too far with your screenshots.
No, you're fine. Yeah, so that's the details tab, and then it'll pull in all of that information from your report once it's uploaded. Is that all you needed?
Yep, I think they just wanted to see it again. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you've submitted your file and it has no warnings or errors, you're going to see this confirmation. And from this screen, you're going to be good to go with your submission, and the district user and the finance officer roles will be able to view submission. And then this is what you're going to see if your submission has been submitted, but there are errors and warnings that need to be fixed. It's going to show you what the errors or warnings are, like here, home hospital student count entered without attendance. So you can go in, withdraw submission. This button's going to allow the KDE user to withdraw the submission and make adjustments. The withdraw submission button is only going to be available for files presenting any errors or warnings. But the application does have some hard stops, which means the district user will need to generate the files from Infinite Campus to correct the errors and resubmit the file using the SAAR application. And then the others are just warnings for which an explanation must be included. So an example of that would be like an 8th grader who takes classes at the high school and it's pulling in an error. So when a file is uploaded with just a warning, you'll be able to resolve that by just clicking resolve here, and you'll be able to explain what's causing the warning. So here's where you'll be able to type in the explanation for the error warning and then click OK. And this is the same procedure as the old system, just explaining the warning via the new SAAR application instead of a separate email. And then once you've resolved the issue, you just the submit button will then become active. So once you've typed in your resolve issue, clicked OK, you'll be able to submit. And then once submitted to KDE will review and approve or deny the file. If KDE denies the file, the status is going to change to denied with a reason why it was denied, and then the district user role will be notified of that. If KDE approves the file, the status will then change to verified by KDE, and then it will be ready for approval by the superintendent. And the superintendent will be notified via email, and that also goes to the district user role as well, so that you know that it's just waiting on the superintendent to verify. At this point, the superintendent will be able to approve or deny the file. If the superintendent denies, you'll see denied with a response of why, and then the district user and KDE will be notified of this. If approved, the file status changes to verified by the district, which finalizes the submission process. And then after a file is submitted, the view submission button will become available, and you will see this, which will show you the details of your submission so that you can see the detailed reports of records that were submitted. And then this is just the link to the actual SAAR application and the SAAR application guidance document. And both of those are linked here on the KDE website under the SAAR page. Jesse, I think we're ready for any questions.
All right.
And we did have a question, Laura, about being able to submit your growth factor right now, and we don't have that window open yet, but they can go in and look around and also pull up any historical reports that are already loaded. But we don't have the window available as far as actually submitting the growth factor, but we will be opening it soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Rhonda. Okay, we have a couple questions in here that we've answered, but I think maybe just say them out loud so everybody makes sure they hear in case they're not following on the question and answers. Will this session be recorded?
Yes, it will. We'll be recording it and posting it on the SAAR website, which is linked on this slide.
All right. This person says growth. I thought growth factor used to be optional. Is it mandatory this year? And I think they may be confusing growth factor and January growth factor.
Yes, growth factor has never been optional. It's always been mandatory along with SAAR.
Now your January growth factor is what's optional. When we get into January, that one's optional, but everybody needs to submit this one. Let's see, ask where the submission details tab was, and then I think Rhonda handled the other question about the app not being loaded right now. Let's see. Is this PowerPoint available to print?
Yes, I will be posting the PowerPoint that was presented at the DPP conference, which is the same one on the SAAR website.
And I also sent it to all the DPPs as well. So everyone's already gotten a copy of the PowerPoint. If you haven't gotten it and you'd like one, email Laura and we will definitely get you a copy.
All right. Let's see. I think that is all the questions we have as of right now.
Okay.
Oh, hold on one more. Oh, okay. So someone had lost sound and now they're back. So,
okay.
Lena, if you may need to catch up on when we post the recording if you've missed something in between. Sorry.
We should have the recording posted by tomorrow, and then I'll have the PowerPoint posted today for anyone who needs that. And I know we had a lot of questions at the DPP conference about the requesting a new user and how you can't do that if you don't have access to it, if you can't even sign in. So someone in your district can go in and request access for you if they have access, and if not, you can just email me directly.
All right, we've got some questions rolling in now for you. Okay, can we have a clarification on the dates? Is it that the superintendent must verify by 11/1 or just to KDE by 11/1?
They have to have the report in by November 1st. And then that's really what starts the process of getting everything verified. And we usually have everything to our SEEK department by the 1st of December. So that kind of gives us that window of time, but we have to have the growth factor in by November 1st.
So signed off by the superintendent with no errors or warnings by November 1st. Correct, Rhonda?
We have to have the
just
in by November 1st.
Just submitted. Okay, so
yes.
but they have to have no errors or warnings to get it. No, excuse me, I misspoke. No errors to get it submitted, and then we can work with them back and forth to get everything verified.
That's correct.
And signed off. Okay. Okay. I think that's all the questions we have as of right now. I'm hoping that's good news. That maybe
yes,
between the DPP presentation and this one we've covered a lot. Yeah. Laura, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they will also, this is a new system, but even though it's a new system, we have loaded previous year's data in there. So they will be able to see previous year data in this system, even though it's the first year for the system, correct?
Correct. And they can go into the system now and see that. All of the historical reports have been uploaded.
We went back 3 years or 4 years, Laura?
I thought 3.
3, okay.
So even though it's not time for you to maybe submit your growth factor and it's not open yet, you can still log in and make sure you get your bearings and know what's going on and where everything is and look around a little bit.
Yes, and just make sure that you have access to sign in.
Okay, good.
And then that's just our contact information for me and for Rhonda, and everything will be posted on the website.
I might give a little plea to also check out that tab that has everyone listed who your contacts are in your district. So you make sure if you have a new superintendent or a new finance officer that you're not trying to get those added as you go. That now would be a good time to give those a look and make sure the correct contacts and everyone who needs to sign off is already in the system.
Yes.
Josh has sent me a message making sure we remind people also, reminder, don't be looking for your virtual and performance-based classes here because those don't show on growth factor because there is no final grade associated with those. So as always, virtual and performance-based doesn't show on growth factor.
And one of the questions that someone asked me at the conference last week, make sure that you put the grade in the final grade tab, not just on the transcripts. This way you can get your credit for those classes when they've passed. So that's kind of a common problem that some people forget. And a big thing with growth factor and also SAAR, once you send that fixed width to us, make sure you go right back in and rerun it as a PDF and hang on to that for your records.
Had one more question come in. It says that, this is from Karen, and she was a first-year DPP last year in 21-22, and this year they're one of the counties that have been affected by the floods, and so they didn't start school until September 21st. And she's asking if this is going to be a issue for SAAR reporting or I think growth factor because she's never done this before. Karen, I just recommend go ahead and reach out to Laura, and you and Laura can look through your days and see when your month 2 ends, and we can figure out a way to help you. So I would say reach out directly to Laura. We'll make sure everything's going to work.
And we have some KEXAC schools that, they end right at the end of October. So it's really a tight window to get it in by November 1st. And we understand that. Just do the very best that you can. And if you can get it to us earlier, the better. So it'll give us time for those districts that may have used the variable instruction calendar and are going to be really at a tight deadline.
All right, I think I'm going to call it. I don't think we have any more questions.
All right, thank you all.